So I just got feedback from my advisor, and with 1 week left to go before we submit next Monday, I have 100+ comments to work through. Yeah. I'm overwhelmed. I'm a little frustrated. I want to cry, but I don't feel like I will. And I also have a headache and my neck has been hurting me. Like where I injured my neck earlier this semester has been hurting me. And it's absolutely beautiful and gorgeous outside, but I know I will be spending the rest of my day inside working on the thesis. So, happy Monday. Let's get to work. I'm gonna tell you guys a trick now. Sometimes you just have to cry while you're writing. I do get my feelings hurt from feedback, which I feel like you're not supposed to do. People talk a lot about like how do you deal with getting feedback from people or from like your advisor, but like regardless of what you do, feedback can be just like a tough thing to take in, especially when it doesn't necessarily feel like you're in it together, if that makes sense, because then it can come across more like a criticism than a let's strengthen this together. But I'm just going through and looking at what things I can fix quickly to get the number of comments cut down, because I'm finding that really overwhelming right now. So I'm like just taking out sentences, fixing grammar, that kind of stuff.
I briefly interrupt our drama for a quick thank you to Ally Shoes, who so kindly invited me to their office for a fitting and gifted me a pair of beautiful heels. Ally Shoes is an innovative fashion brand for women by women that is renowned for their signature pain-free heels. Their team makes heels that are scientifically engineered to alleviate pain, and their ergonomic support structure is accompanied by inclusive sizing options, which is a plus for me because I have a weird shoe size, so shoes never fit me. They were so kind, fun, and attentive at the fitting, and I came away with a pair of absolutely beautiful heels in my favorite color that I plan on actually wearing to my wedding, and that is just how comfortable they are. You can check the link in my bio for a discount code for 10% off your purchase. Thank you again to Ally, and now back to the show.
What a time to call me. I'm looking at my advisor's feedback on my thesis and I just like finished crying. I do think that having a friend helps. You're a good mix between my mom and James, because James is just like, oh, poor baby, poor baby. And my mom is like so logical. She would like the only thing she would say, she would go straight for like the solutions, like they care enough to give you feedback. Here's how to handle your feedback. Here's how to work through it. And I'd be like, Mom, I just need a hug. I've already got it down to 86 comments. They vary in length. Like one says clarify sentence, check sentence. But then some of them are like, there's a bit of thematic jumping here. You could organize the section on LA with a focus on first the location and physical site and its history, and then how people act in or experience it, and what it means to them, work on something. See, this is how we deal with grad school stress. Well, the shopping space itself lacks a central gathering space. Its physical location belonging by being an industry city more broadly, yeah. But it's situated inside of Industry City, which we are done for tonight. At least for now. I'm so tired. I'm also feeling a little, what's the word? I'm feeling a little under the weather. There's a different word for that I'm searching for, but I can't find it. Probably because I feel a little under the weather. James had a cold recently, my partner, so I'm worried that I'm gonna pick that up from him, because now would not be the good time, but it would make sense because I'm really stressed. I hope that this has been a useful illustration, a useful documentation of what it's like to go to grad school and get feedback, and especially from an advisor whose like advising style might not necessarily line up with your style of existing. I actually think that this would probably happen no matter what, but like I'm not always like a solutions-based person. Like if I see an overwhelming number of comments and I start reading them and my feelings get hurt, it doesn't help me to like logically like dissociate the two and to like come up with a plan of attack and that kind of stuff. I just have to cry about it because I have a lot of feelings and I'm trying not to like ignore those feelings anymore like I've done for most of my life, because it turns out that when you ignore those feelings, they just like come back up anyways in like really inconvenient and honestly scary ways, like getting panic attacks. So instead I am choosing to just feel it and keep going. I literally will cry as I am writing if I'm having a particularly hard time, because it's not really about finding a solution. It's about not denying myself that emotional experience. I don't care if other people can do this without crying. I don't care if maybe there's a more efficient way of doing it. I don't care if people think I'm dramatic. What I care about is being able to do the work. And doing the work for me sometimes means that I just have to cry while I'm doing it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And honestly, I feel a lot better after having cried. And also, when I first read through the comments, my brain was like misreading them. I was reading them and like inserting words that made them sound way meaner than they are. When I cried about it and like got a nice emotional boost from a friend, I went back and reread the comments and they were actually pretty nice and very fair. So I think this just goes to show that therapy's working. Anyways, it's late. It's 6 p.m. I'm gonna head home. I think actually I'm gonna print out my thesis with my advisor's comments first, just so that I have it, think about it in a physical sense, not just looking at my screen. And then I will be heading home to relax and not work on my thesis, because I am really tired and I just don't think it will be effective to keep going. So that's it. Morning. I've been laying in bed for like an hour and a half. It's 10 a.m. I need to get going. I'm just feeling a little stuck, just a tiny bit overwhelmed, one could say. But the thought of having a coffee is making me feel like I want to get out of bed, so let's go get a coffee. I'm going to throw something together for breakfast and then join the Accepted Society study session before I have my therapy appointment. I'm doing it virtually today so I can stay home, and then I'll be running into the city to do the graduate student writing group, so I'm going to eat some breakfast and do that. My biggest piece of advice for these like big sprints when it comes to grad school is to always stay hydrated. Have a little drink, have something that makes the experience more pleasant. Especially as a ADHD person, I can't go longer than like 5 seconds without taking a sip of drink. It's like the sensory experience, the embodied experience, perhaps, as Sarah Fisher would say, of writing is really important, and I try to make it something that is pleasurable, because writing is really tough for me. Writing kind of sucks. I've gotten through 3 pages of edits, and I'm feeling pretty good about them, so I'm going to take that energy, carry it through this afternoon at writing group, and hopefully redoing my introduction doesn't take more than 2 days. I'll also say one of my secrets is liquid IV. I used to drink when I was like doing field archaeology. I used to drink one of these every single morning. They're a magic cure for hangovers, and they are great for moments of time in which you have to use a lot of energy. It's wild that electrolytes and a little bit of sugar really make a difference. So I got that prepped. My backpack is packed. We're gonna go in. We're gonna get this thing written. We are not going to freak out. We're just gonna take it step by step. We're back again. No, I forgot my pen. Did I forget my pen? Oh, my backpack has been open this whole time too. I forgot my pen. I've been using a red pen to mark up my my thesis, because it feels very official, and I left it at home. So clearly I cannot get any work done today because I left my red pen at home.
So some of y'all over on Instagram asked me to do some voiceovers when I'm working on my thesis to explain what it is that I'm doing, and in these clips I'm actually doing not line editing, but I am going through my thesis page by page with that red marker when I have it to do what my advisor says, which is to pull out the red thread in my thesis. Having it physically in front of me is helping me to see where things are disconnected and where things could be more strongly connected, essentially. So I'm figuring out what pieces need to be moved where, just trying to make my argument stronger overall. I also wanted to include these clips here because I wanted to show you what it actually looks like to work on a thesis. I think a lot of us have these grand ideas about what doing research might look like, especially on social media and YouTube, but a lot of it really is sitting quietly and thinking and writing and moving things around, so a lot of it's just this.
Okay, here's the situation. Here's the sitch, the lowdown. It's 6:20 p.m. and I am exhausted. I am so tired. My head hurts, my throat is scratchy. I feel under the weather, but I have revised my introduction, at least for now. I've been told continually that my introduction is too long and that it's repetitive, and I agree that it's repetitive. I don't agree that it's too long. I have found it really hard to find the balance between like me being too vague in my introduction, in which I'm like not introducing key concepts and scholars and that kind of stuff, and like the location, my case study, and then giving too much information about all those things, providing too much context, in which my introduction ends up being like 10 pages. I went and I looked at a bunch of master's theses from the program that I know are successful to kind of look at how their introductions were structured, and using my advisor's comments and also having a physical copy printed out so I could actually like see the paragraphs side by side so I could see where I was being repetitive, I was able to cut it down to 5 pages instead of 10. So I'm like really proud of that. I still think my advisor is going to think it's too long, but I don't. We are past the point of no return in terms of how much time I have. And yeah, I mean, like a majority of these 5 pages is just like one really long footnote, so and now I can resolve all these comments and that feels really good. Oh, I just accidentally deleted my whole thesis. Thank God for Control-Z, because I would have just had a breakdown. What a life I am living right now. I am so tired. so tired. It's like almost 10. Nope, not even. It's 9:40 on Thursday, which means Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days left to work on my thesis. Okay, so here's the deal. I don't know if I said this already, but when I first got this feedback from my advisor and I freaked out, I decided that Monday was just about like clearing off as many of like the small comments as I could, like omitting, like taking out sentences, fixing word choices, grammar stuff. And then I decided I would give myself 2 days to redo my introduction and 2 days to work on my lit review and 2 days for everything else, like the small comments, the formatting, etc., etc. It only took me 1 day to work on my introduction, and so I gave myself an extra, I allotted that second day to my lit review. So today is the second day that I'm working on my lit review, and I am hoping to get it done by tomorrow or at some point tomorrow because we're running out of time. So far, my original lit review was 1,400 words, and looking back on it, yes, it needed to be fixed. I left comments to myself that it needed to be fixed. I don't know if I just like put it off because it felt too big, or because I didn't like know what I needed to say, or if I just like forgot. A little bit my fault, a little bit also my advisor not giving me the feedback that I needed until a week before the deadline. It's fine. So my original lit review was 1,400 words. I'm currently at about 900. 1,400 is not very much for a lit review though, I might say. That was like barely 5 pages. Definitely not in-depth enough, and I'm feeling a lot better about the direction my lit review is going in now, although I feel like it's going to be too long at this point because I'm like, I have a lot more to say about this literature, but I digress. God. Anyways, I didn't really vlog yesterday and I apologize for that. I met up with the pop history doc on Instagram. Her name is Sharon. She was in New York, so I invited her to come see the new school and took her to a sustainability talk, and then from there I came home and just like did not talk to the camera because from like 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. I was writing this lit review and that is all I did. I made a lot of progress, like I'm very proud of that. But I'm also exhausted, my head hurts, and I'm actually feeling like I'm feeling run down. That's where I'm at right now. It's like the final push. I can see the direction that it's gonna go in. I'm almost there, so I'm gonna keep working on it until I have to leave. I have to go into the city, drop off some stuff for the collections, and then also teach, and then there's also an alumni panel tonight that I'd like to go to, specifically because Kimberly Jenkins is speaking and she is just a super cool person. I want to see what she's doing. I guess it's everything for now, but very much looking forward to being done with this. I will say though, my advisor essentially left no comments on my last chapter, and that is the chapter that I am the most proud of, so yay. Okay, back to work.
And in this writing session, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I was working on my literature review, which meant actually going back and reviewing the articles. I had to do more reading, do more highlighting, take more notes, and then I also actively wrote out quotes that I thought would be helpful in a separate document. And on my screen here you can see these 2 separate documents, one with green and red highlighting. This was an outline that I had written to help me think through how I wanted to restructure my literature review with the notes that my advisor had given me. And if I decided that I wanted to use something and it had been successfully put into my lit review, I highlighted it with green. And if it was something that I needed to cut, I highlighted it in red. That visual cue was really helpful for me as I was going through this process because after a while, the words just start to blur together on the screen.
I wanted to take a pause and share something with you guys that I have found really helpful in writing, and I want to share it with you. Not sponsored, although it would be great if they did. And also for transparency, I've been using Chat PDF, which is an AI that gives you summaries of a PDF that you upload. And as somebody with ADHD, reading is one of the things that is the most difficult for me about doing research. I would say that like reading and writing are like very close, but reading takes the cake. I still prefer to do all of my readings myself, but I have a difficult time not only like getting to doing the reading, but then also keeping track of all of the readings and like what they say. I do have a note-taking system. I use Notion, and I also like pull quotes, and I try to summarize in my own words, but it's just part of the process I find really difficult. So ChatPDF has been recommended to me a couple of times by a couple of different academics. So I've been using ChatPDF to analyze all of the articles that I have already read but haven't like spent a lot of time with, just to refresh my memory and help me better organize through like key themes the order in which I'm speaking about my literature. And it has been so extremely useful, especially because I tend to over-explain and give too much context. So ChatPDF is helping me keep my explanations a little bit more concise. It's also helpful because I get to like ask it questions. I can't remember which articles do and don't offer a definition of vintage, so rather than going through and reading the whole thing, I can ask ChatPDF, does this article offer a definition of vintage? And it can say yes or no. And I want to share that because I don't think that there's any shame in using AI as a tool. You absolutely should not be using AI to write your papers, but I don't think that there's any shame in using it as an assisting tool. And out of all of these types of tools that people have told me to try, this has been the most useful. I don't really like listening to my articles because I get lost. I do prefer to read them myself, and then I like to review all of that information through this AI tool. It has just been a lifesaver and a game changer. I will say though that it is $20 a month, so I totally understand if that is not within your budget. I decided that given the tight turnaround of my edits, this was definitely worth the money. But ChatPDF, you know, if you want to sponsor me, my email's in the description. But I just had to share that because it's making this job so much easier. Making good progress. I'm on to the second section of my lit review, where I'm starting to establish the conversation of terminology that I find really important. And then from there I'm going to move on to establishing the literature on space, through which I will segue into my intervention with my methods, I think. And I say I'm making good progress because I just copy and pasted my original, like, I called it a note on terminology, but I'm just integrating it into my literature review now. But I still need to integrate some literature, primarily just one reading that I only read recently. But I think if I can do that, then this section will be like really strong, and then I only have one more section to do, and I can move on to the rest of my thesis. And we're currently at 2,200 words. I'm not getting any more work done, obviously. I think I've come to a block, and I need to step away from this for a while. I think I've been working on it all morning, and I'm feeling really frustrated right now about this block because I am so frustrated at what it seems like my advisor wants versus how my brain wants to put this together. So I'm just gonna walk away for now. I put in a lot of good work this morning, and I'm gonna walk away.
And sometimes walking away is exactly what you need. I ended up spending quite a bit of time during my afternoon at the archive in the study collection with one of my friends, and I had an absolutely lovely time. It was so nice to just stop thinking about the thesis for a little bit and get to actually go and touch some fashion history, and also know that I was helping to contribute to other students' education. And I think that this is just an important reminder that your research is not everything. Your life is more full than your research, and you know, it'll get done, and please just remember to take care of yourself.
Look at the hand stitching on the hem of this dress. That is nuts. Absolutely beautiful.
I'm home. The alumni panel was really good. Kim Jenkins was speaking, and she's from the original cohort of the fashion studies program, and she does really incredible work, and she is so cool. It was like an idol moment, like a little starstruck moment, and it was really nice. And the collections was good. Teaching was fine. I'm gonna finish this frickin' thing, so let's get to work. I'm at 2,200 words. We're almost there. 30 minutes on the clock, let's get it started.
And this, my friends, is where I leave you today, on a little bit of a cliffhanger. We still have 4 more days left until I submit my thesis. There was just simply too much footage to fit into one video, because if I did that, this video would have been like an hour long. So please stay tuned for the next installment of my Thesis Diaries videos. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please remember to take care of yourself, maybe by checking out the link to LA Shoes and using their discount in my description, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye everyone!